I'm going to show you how much money I made as a driver way back when in 2015. And I got to be honest, I'm not exaggerating when I say this is mind-blowing. I forgot how insane and how good it was to be a driver back in the day. What's weird, first off, I went into my Lyft account and I see here no history available. You did not give any rides in 2015. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird because I definitely did. Luckily, I back up almost every single email I get. I suggest you do the same. Being honest, you never know when it's going to come in handy. And if you use like Google storage, it's like, I think I spend $2 a month, literally $2 a month for I think 2 terabytes of online storage, which includes emails. You never know when it's going to come in handy. In this case, for this video. So this is in March. You can see right here the timestamps of all these emails. So for example, in March, what Lyft used to do is something called minimum hourly guarantees. These kind of exist now. I just did a video about New York and a video about Prop 22 I've talked about, but this is different. So are you ready? Are you ready? So this is March 12th of 2015 is when I got this email. Boom. This is what Lyft used to do. So they would give you sections. And you know what's weird is I think at the time, I'll be honest, I took it for granted. Like I didn't really realize, I think at the time, just how absurd this was. So what would happen is they would give you times, as you can see here. Friday, for example, 7 to 10 a.m., minimum hourly guarantee, $60 an hour. $60 an hour from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. $60 an hour again from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I did the math out. This is about 30-ish hours. And doing math out super quick, making things super easy, I think it's about like 32 or 33 hours that exist here. You could make about basically $2,000 if you did all these hours. If you want to have like a marathon weekend and go all out, you could make $2,000 in a single weekend just driving during these hours. And the way it worked, let me see if it has it on here. I remember the terms. I wonder if I can still opt in, but what happened if I click that? But this is what it used to be like. Lyft used to be amazing. I think I was looking through some of this, and I'm like, I forgot how good this was, because I remember one time I tweeted at Lyft. That was when I was complaining. But I think I tweeted at them, or they liked my tweet somewhere. Where was it? I don't know. Maybe somewhere up here. Oh, yeah, they favorited. You guys are killing it with these guarantees. Keep it up. This is March. Wait, is it still live? Actually, wait, let me click that again. I didn't even know I could go back to this. Yeah. March 22nd, 2015. You guys are killing it with these guarantees. Keep it up. And Lyft liked it. Very different than it is now. But the way it worked, I want to see if I can find... Here it is. Okay. So for each hour... And there were some kind of hacks I figured out when it comes to this. I feel like every driver out there has figured out tricks when it comes to the bonuses or the guarantees. You had to spend at least 50 minutes in driver mode. So you had to be online for at least 50 minutes out of the hour, give at least 2 completed rides. And I don't know why they don't say this here, but you also needed at least 90% acceptance rate for the week, which in Boston was effing miserable. And the reason why... And I know I'm kind of venting a little bit here, but I'll show you while I'm talking about this. I'll show you one of my earning statements, for example. But the reason why is when it comes to Boston, in case you didn't know, when they built the roads in Boston, they built them for like horses and carriages. So they kind of built the roads as they went, as like technology evolved like years and years ago. New York planned out. Most cities were like logically planned out for vehicles, not Boston. So Boston's the worst city to drive in, period. So what Lyft used to do, I believe, is match with you based off physical proximity. So what happened is, let's say someone was 100 feet away from me, the Lyft app would say, oh, they're close to me. But the problem was, for Boston, you could be 100 feet away from somebody straight line-wise, but you'd have to drive 20 minutes to pick them up. So the acceptance rate in Boston was horrible. So my trick that I'd actually use, I'm not joking, is if they match me with someone horrible, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost done with today, I can't lower my acceptance rate. Like, I got to be careful. I'd call the person and say, hey, is there any way you can cancel the ride? For some reason I can. It's going to take me a while to get there, and most people did. This is also back in the day, they did not have cancellation fees for the passenger. But anyway, so this is how much money I made, for example, March 23rd to March 29th of 2015, the end of March, $639 for driving about 17 hours. That equals about $38 an hour with everything considered. I think I can go here, and you can see, so there's a bunch of tricks I use, by the way. So they have this right here. You can see these are the hours. This is what things used to look like, by the way. So take like the 60 average hourly guarantee. You can see on average, I made $16 an hour and 42 cents, and they bumped me up with a bonus of $244 because the way it worked is regardless of how much you made, if you were in driver mode for 15 minutes out of that hour, if you drove minimum 2 rides in that hour and 90% acceptance rate or higher, they would bump up that minimum hourly guarantee. So you can see this kind of like breakdown here if you want to see how this is looking. But this is what it used to be like back in the day. And Lyft was so insane about these hourly guarantees. I mean, it was ridiculous how awesome this was. And I also, too, I mean, I don't know if I ever did a video about this because I didn't want Lyft to like ban my account, but now, whatever. I used to do this trick called hide and seek was my kind of pro tip I used to do. So I would do 2 rides an hour in Brighton, Massachusetts, and Boston. Then I go to this one plaza for those people who live in Boston. It's the plaza in Brighton with Stop and Shop and Dollar Tree. I think there's like a Home Goods there too. What I realized is because the way algorithmically Lyft would match me with people is based off physical proximity, what I do is I do 2 rides in an hour. I would turn off the app. I'd book it to Stop and Shop, which is kind of like the grocery store chain in Boston. You're looking at like similar to like Ralph's here in LA or Publix in Florida or whatever, or HEB in Texas. I'd go to that Stop and Shop plaza, turn on the driver app, and I'd sit in my car and read for the entire hour. And I would never I never once got a single match waiting that Stop and Shop plaza. So this is why you can see here, my average like hourly earnings were $16 because I literally do 2 super quick rides in Brighton, turn off the app, book it to Stop and Shop, and sit there and just wait for the entire rest of the hour to go by. I would read a book and be just making money. It was a great pro tip. But yeah, so this is the way things used to break down. I mean, this is what, and it's crazy because I was going through some of these like earnings and driver summaries and everything. I was like, I forgot just how ridiculous certain things used to be back in the day. Because I remember, so take this, these these hourly guarantees. I knew people who were like, hey, like I just like playing video games. I like hanging out at home. There were people I remember when I used to drive that I hear about back in Boston who would literally do a marathon weekend like this with crazy hourly guarantees and bonuses and all this kind of stuff. They'd make $2,000, $2,500 in a weekend and say, you know what? I'm good. And the entire rest of the month, they would just sit on their butt and play video games. And I'm like, hey, like, not my thing, but props to you that they were literally working 1 weekend out of the month to have the time to do anything else they wanted. And they would just go all out and do something like this. I mean, it is so crazy looking back on this. Like, let me see as well. There's some, like St. Patrick's Day, for example. This is what it used to be like too, which is crazy. You can see here, this is, minimum acceptance rate of 90% for the week. I don't know why I didn't mention that in the other email, but you could see 16 hour again on St. Patty's Day. And this, I think it was even higher maybe this year because I think Uber and Lyft had like a bidding war. I can't remember if this was in 2015 or maybe 2016 where they had like a bidding war. You know, and then in addition to, they used to do fun things. Passengers who match with a driver named Patrick, Patricia, Patty, or Pat will score a free ride from Lyft. Kind of a cool concept. Like Lyft doesn't do that. Also, where'd the pink mustache go? I mentioned that in a previous video, you know? And then looking here, this is other stuff. Make sure passengers leave any open containers behind. In Boston, that was a huge issue, especially with the nips, which are like the small bottles of alcohol. We call them nips. But this is what Lyft used to do. I mean, it was so wild. Like looking back on this, so these are kind of random, like earnings forecast. There's also, they still kind of do this. Oh, I actually went to that show, Paul Van Dyke at Royale. It's a great show, great DJ. But they also, okay, so this was just one random day. I barely drove on that day. But what's crazy is they used to do this. They don't anymore, called the Power Drive bonus. If you drove 30 hours or more, you'd get a 10% bonus. So if, let's say you drove 30 hours, I'm making this up. If, let's say you drove 30 hours in a week, and you made $1,000, you get an extra $100 for a bonus. If you drove over 50 hours in a week, you get a 20% bonus. So let's say if you drove 50 hours, you made $1,000. Again, just to make numbers easy, you get an extra $200 bonus. Whatever you made at the end of the day, you get an extra 20%. And that could add up really fast. Of course, they don't do that anymore. And I forgot, like, just all these crazy bonuses, weekly feedback. Oh, I forgot about these are some of the ratings I would get. Really cool dude. We talked about YouTube videos the whole ride. It was great. I want to see some of the feedback. Can I see, like, Lyft? Let me see, weekly feedback. See, like, what I get. No, right, actually. Then, very friendly. I don't take that. Very friendly. Okay. Let me see if I can go back to March. I'm just kind of curious. Cool guy. Very nice guy. Great service. Cool dude. All right. Oh, I already looked at that one. So cute. Nice. So great to talk to. Very personable. All right. It's kind of cool. I haven't seen these in like years. Awesome. Friendly, but not creepy. Hot. Okay. Okay, so while this Lyft is a little pricier, the poor guy went the long and traffic congested way. We're in deep conversation, but I bothered to correct him. Oh, well, you should have, because I don't remember that. The ride was awesome. Mark is an excellent driver. Shows up on time, totally friendly. He's one of the drivers that made, oh, this is great. He arrived at the correct house. You know, so here's what's crazy. That was actually an issue back in the day because the Lyft GPS was weird. You actually had to like manually, and this is what I did with Lyft, like copy and paste the address, go manually to Google Maps, paste it in and go back to the app. So like going to the wrong destination was actually, not saying it was common, but more common than you think. Now it never happens now. But back in the day, it was more common than you think. So yeah, you arrived at the correct house, stopped to make sure I was there. That's kind of cool. I guess kind of cool to see, right? Let me just back to the main point of this video. But you can see all these kind of different things. Let's see if I can find other ones. I will say some of these, let me see if I can see the bonuses. So some of these weren't as high, but even so, 40 an hour, right? As we're now approaching April, because I will say during the winter time in Boston, it's definitely a lot better. Weekly earnings. Oh, I already showed you this. $639, which is still insane. How do I go next? So 4 now in time. Weekly earnings. Still $540. I drove about 17 hours still. The hourly guarantees weren't as high. But even still, I mean, let's do out the math. You can see here the breakdown of everything. Going down here. If I do like 534 divided by 17, I don't know if you can see this, still like about $32 an hour, roughly, and the crazy thing is, like I said, is during this time, I really wasn't doing rides. I was doing the hide and seek technique I was talking about. I just can't, like, looking back on this, it was so easy. I think the thing is to make a lot of money. I feel like now you kind of have to scramble and use more, advanced techniques. When I've talked to a lot of drivers now, especially in this day and age, I mean, it's just insane. Weekly earnings. See this one. Oh yeah, I think this is when I started to switch to Uber, to be honest. And what's weird is I can't really find a lot of my Uber reports. I thought I backed them up, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. But again, just showing you, we're in Boston. Oh, these are more stuff going on. You can see this is the way they used to do it with like maps. Super interesting. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is when I started to kind of be like, all right, like Uber's starting to pay more. So I think this is when I started switching to Uber, but I think I still did some of the hourly guarantees because that isn't that good. Like $240 divided by 11. Yeah, it's like $22 an hour. So not the best, being honest. And keep in mind, this is way before tips existed too. So you're kind of like stuck with that. But yeah, I mean, that's what it used to be like way back in the day as a driver, just with these crazy minimum hourly guarantees. You're talking about the power drive bonus, getting 10 or 20% extra. Sometimes I would hit it, sometimes I wouldn't. But like, that was one of those situations though that I think just back in the day, it was so much easier to make a good amount of money driving. And also too, remember, Lyft and Uber would take out only 20%. It was a hard, clear-cut, static 20%. It's just crazy looking back on this kind of stuff because it does remind me of like all these crazy stories. Like I said, there were people who I knew or who I would meet who would be like, yeah, I'm going to do one crazy weekend driving. I'm just going to go all out. I wake up at like 9 a.m., finish at 3 or 4 a.m. and do that for 2 or 3 days. And then the entire rest of the month, I'm just going to kind of coast it. And granted, like, yeah, you might only make $2,500 on a weekend, right? And that's the last due of the month. But I mean, if you budget well, and you don't really care about spending a lot of money, and you're like, look, this is what I want to do, and I just want rather just chill and play video games or relax, or however you want to do it. There were people literally working one weekend out of the month in Boston and making enough money for that entire month. It was wild looking back on, like, I mean, man, what a crazy time. And also things are so much different now. And like I said, my Uber earnings, I wonder if I could try to, maybe I'll do a follow-up video for just Uber. I think I have to dig a little bit more because the reports for Uber, I was looking at some of them, were too all over the place. Like, it seems like some of their data is a lot, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these apps where it's weird that, like, even Lyft, I showed you on the, on my profile, says I didn't even drive in 2015. So maybe there was some kind of update that somehow erased all the prior data. I don't know what these companies are doing. Who knows? But man, things were a lot different back then than they are now.